Well, thank you guys so much for doing this. I think it's
Yeah.
going to help a lot of families decide to hire a doula, and just hearing more than just reading a testimonial is going to be like hearing firsthand from other families. When I'm hiring or going to be interviewing other moms that didn't work with me at all, they'll talk about their experience with their doula. So I'm hoping just in general, it just gets more people interested in hiring a doula, whether it's me or somebody else. So, with that, obviously, I know about you guys, but can you tell for people that might watch this your names, a little bit about you guys?
Yeah. No. We're the Brocktrups. I'm Molly and this is Brent. We got married about 2 years ago and then we welcomed our first baby back in December.
And then just briefly, so like a 5 minute snippet, if you can you give me just a little bit of your birth story? So how labor began. I know with you guys, obviously you had your induction. So a little bit about the reason why you guys had that, how the birth went, and then like just the end right before Peter came, and then maybe a little bit postpartum.
Yeah. So I was induced with preeclampsia. It was like a week early. And I went into an appointment after work on a Thursday. And then they decided they wanted to induce me just to be careful. So then Brent and I both packed up our bags. We went home, showered, ate dinner, and then we went in and got admitted. And then during the evening, they started the induction, but it was just a slow process to soften the cervix. And then once the morning came, our doctor came to check in and see how things were progressing. And I was 3 centimeters dilated. So then from there, they broke my water. And then Brent and I did some walking in the hallways, some praying just to get things moving. And things were going really well. And then when things started to feel like they were starting to pick up a little bit, we decided to call you in. And then we called my mom in as well, who was coming to the birth as well, just to support. And then when you guys arrived, we had back to the room. And then from there, things really progressed. We were moving through a lot of different positions. And then around 4, he made his appearance. Things went well with pushing. I only had to push for 3 minutes, which was great. So at that point, I was in a lot of pain. So I was ready to be done. And then um, postpartum, he ended up being in the NICU for a week with some low blood sugar. Are you trying to see?
Now
Um,
he's like, we don't have those issues anymore.
yeah, I know. And then after that, we brought him home, and yeah, things were pretty good. Yeah.
Amazing. And I'm like, just as you're telling this too, I have the photo that you guys had given me after during our like meeting, or maybe I had picked up something from you, but I have the photo that I have with me and Peter after the delivery too, sitting on my desk as
Aw.
well. So I look at that every single day I'm sitting here. So going back to the very beginning before like even hiring me. So you guys found out that you were pregnant. What were the first thoughts, emotions that you guys had when you found out that you were pregnant?
I mean, initially there's a little bit of a shock because we weren't totally expecting it. But, after that, it was excitement. And
Yeah. Yeah, excitement. Yeah, felt a little surreal because we were both really excited to be welcoming a baby, but also you still feel like a kid. And whoa, we're gonna be parents. That's fine.
Who gave me permission?
Yeah.
What were your biggest hopes or fears about giving birth?
I was really nervous to give birth. I feel like you hear a lot of stories from women about just the challenges of it. You know that there's a lot of things that can go wrong. So I felt really anxious and worried about giving birth and being able to manage the pain. So that was my initial my initial feelings.
Brent, any big hopes or fears that you had about the birth?
oh, well, like every father, you hope for a healthy baby and a healthy mama. And then, there's just the fear of she's going to go through something that you can only help so much with. And that a large part of it she just has to do. You can be there for it, but not being able to take some of that away from her or take it all away from her is always a fear. And then, you know, just making sure everyone's happy and healthy at the end of it.
And what made you guys start looking for a doula?
So we actually, I think it was around this time
Yeah.
last year, we went to a wedding and we were sitting with some of Brent's friends, and they just had their third baby, our godson, and his friend actually asked us, he was like, well, so what's your birth plan? Brent and I were still there, like, I don't know, have the baby, hopefully a healthy baby. And then he started telling us about their journey with having a doula. They did not have a doula with their first pregnancy, and then they had one for their second too. And they had a really positive experience, and he had nothing but good things to say. He really encouraged us to take a look into it. And I thought it was really cool that the dad was really advocating for it, because I had heard other women talk about doulas before. So it was on my radar of something to maybe look into. But after we talked to that couple and hearing their testimony, we looked into it more seriously.
Awesome. And then obviously we had interviewed together. So what was the reason that you guys ultimately decided to work with me?
Yeah. We really enjoyed meeting with you. I thought it was really nice that we were able to have that first interview before we signed on, just to make sure that it was a good vibe and we had good chemistry together. But yeah, everything that you were saying, I just felt like it was very much good information, and then a good vibe of you bring a lot of positive energy. And that's what we were looking for. We felt comfortable asking questions and talking with you. And that's why we ultimately decided to go with you.
Awesome. And then during our prenatal appointments during the pregnancy, so what did you feel like the experience was during our prenatal appointments? Were there certain things that helped you that you weren't necessarily expecting to help you?
What do you think?
I mean, it's just a lot of good information, at least initially, especially for first time parents, to just prepare for that process, especially if you've never gone through it before. And then I think just building out a plan, a pain management plan, a timeline on how things are going to go. Again, for being a new dad, that was helpful for me to help you through the process.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. There was so much unknown when you get pregnant for your first time about you just have fears of things that might go wrong and you fear of the unknowns. And I felt like we learned so much. And I feel like knowledge is power. And it was empowering to learn about what was going on with my body, what would be happening with my body. Because then when it happened, I wasn't scared. I just knew, like, oh, this is what's supposed to happen in this moment. And this is good. It's doing what it's supposed to be doing, even though this is painful. I'm not supposed to fight this. So that all that information was super helpful. And then, like Brent said, pain management, it definitely helped to have those conversations ahead of time. So in the moment, we weren't trying to communicate on, is this helpful or is this not helpful? We just knew a good plan of, this is what would help Molly when she is in pain. And then, yeah, I think it went smoothly because of that.
Awesome. Was there any one appointment or one conversation that we had that stands out to you guys when you think back about any of those appointments?
I think the one where we went through the process of what it's going to look like when you go into labor was helpful, because he walked us through, here's the first stage, and here's how you might be feeling, here's the emotions you might have, here's what you might be feeling. And then Brent was reflecting, he talked a little bit before we did this meeting, and he was saying that he felt very confident in when we called you.
Okay.
Because before that, I think we definitely may have called you really early. We
Yeah.
Or not much going on at all.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Panicky dad saying,
Yeah.
we're going in, come in, and ultimately we were able to get through that first wave, whether it was like at home or in the hospital, just managing that first initial wave of early labor and getting through that. And then getting to the point where when we called you in, it was truly actually time to have you there and help.
And then did you guys feel like you had enough support that was between the appointments?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I think you were being noisy, Tony.
He is so stinking cute just looking around.
And when she
Aw. And then heading into labor. So as labor began, it sounds like you guys felt very prepared. Was there anything that you specifically, Brent, did you feel like you were very confident with what you needed to do, what your kind of expectations were going to be going through labor.
Yeah, it was being aware of, where she kind of where she was, and then asking, just being very present into how her pain is, asking her a lot of it, switching it up high, suggesting walks just to get things moving and to help her, get through that early stage. And then being able to trust that when she said, okay, now it's starting to feel more, and she's feeling an increase in pain, or and then say, okay, now should be a good time to call in then. Understanding that timeline was helpful.
Perfect. And then what was it like once I arrived there? How was like the support that I gave to you? And I know you guys had a little bit extra support because your mom was there and it was a total rock star as well. So you had as much support as you possibly could in the room with you.
For me personally, I felt extremely supported. I thought that everybody on the team between Brent, you, and then my mom were supporting me in different ways. But the combination of all of that was so helpful. I felt like Brent was there physically, like praying with me and just being right next to me and supporting me emotionally. My mom, I felt like she's known me for forever. So she knew like when the pain was hitting. She had 7 births herself, so she knew when that onset of the contraction was starting to start providing me some support with my lower back. And then I felt like you came in with this knowledge of I just at a certain point I stopped looking and I had my eyes closed, but I could just hear your voice guiding me of, okay, Molly, we're gonna transition into this position now, move this. And that's exactly what I needed because I didn't have a lot of ability to think a lot in that moment. But if someone was telling me what to do, I could do it. I think that your expertise in knowing like how to keep birds moving so that way we could progress was super helpful. I definitely was not able to think about what position should I move to, or even though I had that knowledge from before, in that moment, I was not able to think through what would be a good thing to move into. So it was really a positive experience.
And looking back, how do you think the birth experience would have been different if we didn't work together?
I think, like I said, with you, like having that guiding voice, I don't think we would have had that. I think there would have been a little bit more anxiety and stress trying to figure out what should we do now, or this isn't working anymore. Where should we move next? I think that we would have been probably would have taken longer. I think the whole process if we didn't have you there.
And you did move very quick after I arrived. You started progressing very fast.
Yes, yeah,
Which is awesome. Which is what we
Yeah.
love. We love to have that happen where
Yeah.
everything starts to move very quickly.
Yeah.
And what words would you describe to just utilize to describe kind of the overall birth experience? How did you feel going through everything?
Good question.
I think I was a lot calmer than what I would have been.
I thought it was really beautiful, even though it was really challenging and it was like the hardest thing I've ever done. It was beautiful because it was very natural and it brought us to our little boy, which was just really cool. And everything, I just felt like we were able to rely, like, I'm just really grateful we were able to have a natural birth and that my body was able to do what it's designed to do. All of that was really made it beautiful.
You agree with that, Brent?
Yeah. I mean,
Good. And I wanted to circle back to you, Brent, as well, because you're putting baby boy down. But how do you think the birth experience would have been different if I wasn't there with you guys?
I'm going to go a little more chaotic. Using a sports metaphor, you were that floor general, quarterback, whatever you want to say, in the room to, all right, maybe we should switch up to this position. And you already had something in mind, game plan. Us, because in that moment, we weren't thinking about, well, is she going to be more comfortable in position A or position B? Or you were just prepared for that. And you kept that timing that, well, we were focused on Molly, you could be focused on the whole process. And that I think was really helpful and helped tremendously to this whole thing. Allow us to stay completely present to her and yet at the same time adapt to what she might be needing in that moment.
And then what surprised you guys most about working with me?
I would say that it was just being in the room and just helping us transition through everything, each phase of it as we get closer and closer to the birth. And even at the birth, when there's
Mhm.
all the people in the room and we're getting into position to go, having that clear voice to say, okay, now you're going to do this and you're going to do this, I think made that part really to get us to where we had to be. And that made the actual delivery that much smoother and easier and better for mommy.
Yeah. I don't know if I'd say I was surprised, but I was just really grateful because I thought that everything that we had heard about having a doula there for was true. We had you there and we felt supported and things went really well. We were really grateful for that. Yeah.
Good. I'm so glad to hear that. And then what would you tell another mom who is considering hiring a doula? So the next family that comes and meets you and they're pregnant and you ask what's their birth plan, what would you say to those moms about hiring a doula?
I would just encourage them to look into it and see if it's something that would be something that they'd be interested in doing. It was definitely something that blessed our family. And that I personally feel like, as the mom, it was so nice to be supported in that way. It's a big process going through birth and having a baby. There's so many different pieces to it. So it's really nice to have that support. And then, two, I can't speak for you, but I felt like it allowed Brent and I to communicate really well and support each other well because we had that person supporting Brent and things that he didn't know either, to be able to support me the best way he could.
Yeah. Echoing off of that, there's just better communication between the whole team because someone knows the questions to ask and has that knowledge and has seen this many times. And that I think helps out a lot because then you're a little more prepared, especially early, and there's that plan in place.
And then is there anything that you'd like for expecting parents to know about your experience, whether that is in the pregnancy, the early stages, or the labor, or the now that your baby boy is not super baby anymore? Any parent advice that you would give as well?
Oh, goodness. I don't feel like I'm in a spot to give advice. I guess the biggest thing is just, I think, something that I have learned so far is that little babies are just learning how to do life. Like, I was blown away by the fact that they're just learning how to breathe. I just think that's not something I think about ever. Just the smallest little things are them learning how to do it. So your job is there to be there for them, to support them as they do it. Our little guy struggles to sleep, take naps. So, like, just learning how to figure out how can we help him on his nervous system so he can actually relax enough to fall asleep. Those are just like some little things that I've been learning on the go as a mom.
And you are learning. Your baby, this is all brand new for a
Mhm.
little boy, but this is all brand new for you as
Mhm.
well. So you guys are all learning in real time together.
Yeah. I will say, like, another beautiful part about having a doula is, like, I've been able to text you in those moments where I'm like, oh my gosh, I had bad allergies and was having these, like, horrible allergies I'd never had before pregnancy. And I was like, I don't know what to do. And, so many of the medications you can't take when you're nursing. So I was able to reach out to you and get support in that moment when I was feeling really stuck. But there's been several moments where I've had to text you and you're like, Rebecca, I don't know what to do in this moment. And you always have really great response that I'm like, I didn't think of that, or I've never heard of that. And then I try it and it's helpful. So that's another thing too, is you said that in one of our meetings, I know beforehand, that I'll support you afterwards too. And you truly have, which has been great.
Yeah, I don't go away.
No.
Which is awesome. I love that
Yeah.
after relationship, which is amazing.
Yeah.
I know Brent just stepped out, so checking on little boy, I'm assuming, but
Yeah.
really.
You're just leaving the power.
Oh, okay. And then is there anything else that you, Brent, would share about your experience with other expecting parents?
Oh, geez. There's, I mean, every little guy is different and every experience is going to be different. And you can have a general idea, but you're never going to know exactly. And your plan's going to change. And you might be coming home from work and get a call that you're going to be induced the next day, and you just have to roll with it. And I don't know, just be prepared for not being prepared.
The dads need to roll with the punches.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's another thing too, is whenever Brent and I feel like, oh yeah, we totally figured this out and this is going really well, he changes again, and then we'll be like, oh, okay, back to the drawing table. Yeah, like
Yep.
how do we support him through this phase now? Or why are we having this sleep regression? But that's so much of parenting. It's just problem solving, working together, sleep deprived.
And it never goes away.
Maybe that
You're gonna keep doing it.
be prepared for a 9:30 strategy session with your spouse, because that might be the only time that you get to have that conversation that day. And
I love that. I love that advice. That's so good. Well, thank you guys so much for doing this meeting. I really appreciate you sharing your experience and being open and honest and encouraging other families so that they can better prepare for their birth experience.
Absolutely.
Welcome.
Thank you.